and we're doing understanding. Let me put up the springboard verse, thanks to Jim here, and I'll start you off with that. Be a good place to start, a little springboard verse, and that would be Proverbs 3, and we'll work down to where I started this week, and it would be 3 and 5. But we'll do the whole thing here. Proverbs 3 and 1. And when you're talking about understanding and leaning not unto your own understanding, but the understanding of God, you got to understand what His understanding is, and His understanding is what? It's the law and the commandments. So in Proverbs 3:1, it starts off, "My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments." So right away, if you're doing that, you're not leaning to your own understanding. So, for length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck. Write them upon the table of thine heart. And when you're talking about heart, you're also talking about understanding. When you see a lot of words about heart and a lot of words about mind in the New Testament, especially, but this word leb or leb in the Old Testament is heart, and that's where you see understanding. At least 10 times is the word for heart, is understanding. So let not, it's out of here, thine heart. So thou shalt find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man. And here we go. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. And that's a great 5 or 6 verses about not leaning to your own understanding and what understanding is. And we'll just we'll take it from there, and we'll springboard all over the place with this one. Let me give you the Hebrew, which is probably where we're going to start, because the Greek, there's about 20 Greek words for knowledge and understanding and wisdom, and it would just take me all day just to give them to you. But eventually I'll give them to you. But these, that's the main one here. But the ones in the Hebrew that we're going to look at is this sakal. All right, I'm going to put up a different thing here to make it easier to zoom around here. Sakal is 79:19 in the Hebrew. All right, and that's understood here. 79:19. Okay, it's TWOT 2263 for those of you taking notes. I know you are. All right, and that would be also 79:22 would go with this. One's the verb, one's the noun. 79:22. All right, so this would be, see that line is in the way here. This would be the masculine noun, and it comes from this 79:19, which is the verb. So this is the main one here, sakal, the verb. And also, when you're talking about the Psalms and 49:05, 49:05, you would see maskil. A lot of the Psalms start with this, maskil. A Psalm of David, maskil. I mean, we don't know what maskil really means, but when you put it in context with these 2 words that it represents here, you can see that it means sort of like insight or understanding. Each of the Psalms has a different type of feel to it. Musically, some of them are to be belted out real loud, and some of them are supposed to be sweet and serene. And but this here is a maskil, and it's a poem or a song or a poem of contemplation. So it's something to think about. So that's maskil, and that's part of this this word sakal. All right. So and then so we won't spend too much time on this, but the one that is really going to take up our time is this word understanding, which uh, is 995 in the Hebrew, and that would be the word bin, B-I-Y-N, or just B-N, so, and this is TWOT through 39, and this bin means understand, or understanding, or consider, or to be prudent. So, when you're discerning something, you're being prudent. And as you can see, there's 170 times that this is in the Bible here. And with this is 998, 998. And that is also understanding, and that's bina. It comes from the verb, and this is the feminine noun. It just means understanding or discernment. And then you have this other one that's connected with it. This is always something like this: 08394 in the Hebrew, and this would be tabun. It comes from the verb, and it means understanding, discretion, or reason. And we'll see the different times that is there. So as you can see, there's 162, there's 38, and there's 42. So there's 200 some odd verses here, and we can't take them all in. But I'm going to look at the TWOT 239, and we'll feed off of that, and we'll see where it takes us as far as this. And we'll just look up one verse at a time here. So the bin, and there's another one here. I haven't found it. It's this is the 08, this is the and this is the 998, and this is the 995. So there's another one in there somewhere. We'll find it. So there were 17 other renderings in addition. With varies of readings for the two most numerous: understand and consider by interchanging perceive, observe, and discern, and all. So this, the verb and its derivatives are used 247 times. Its main English usage is understanding or insight. The background idea of the verb is to discern, and this lies behind the derivative nouns and the close relation derived from the substantive bayin, from which comes the preposition bin, or between. The combination of these words, discern between, and is used in 1 Kings 3:9. It says that I may discern between good and evil. And if we put this up, you'll see the words here. Give therefore thy servant an understanding. And also, there's three other words I want to give you that have understanding in it. And this, we know shama. We know the word hear. Shema is to hear. And when I talked about labab, the heart, that's another one for understanding. And there's also the yada. We're always saying yada yada yada, and this is where we get that from. It's 45, and that would be to know. That's a simple word for know, yada. And it's almost 1,000 times it's in the Bible. So we can go crazy looking at all that, but that's the word yada. And I'm sure that's where we get yada, yada, yada from. I'm just guessing that, but I'm pretty sure. So those are the other three. Besides that, you got yada, labab, and shama. The heart, to hear, and to know. And these are all part of understanding. So give therefore thy servant an understanding heart. So who gives the ear to hear and the eye to see? The God. So he give me a hearing heart is what he's saying. Give me a hearing heart. And both of these words mean to understand. Give me an understanding, basically is what he's saying. To judge between thy people that I may discern. And there's been between the good and the bad. And who is able to judge this, thy so great a people? and that's Solomon asking for wisdom and understanding. Um, and so the verb refers to knowledge, which is superior to the mere gathering of data, and that's what the sakal is. If you look back at that 7919, the sakal, you'll see that that is like a you're looking at things and you're trying to figure things out, and you're gathering data and you're coming to an understanding. So that's the sakal. That's 7919. I'm not going to go back to it again, but we might slip into it. Let me see. Okay, that I may discern. Yeah, all this superior gathering data. It is necessary to know how to use knowledge the one possesses. The verb yada, which we looked at, can also mean understanding in the sense of ability. So, like Esau as a skillful hunter. When you look up the word skillful, a lot of times it's yada. Sometimes it's another word for understanding or knowledgeable. So skillful. It can also mean to be perceptive, as in 73:22. So foolish was I and ignorant. I was as a beast before thee. I knew not. And this would probably be, I was ignorant. Yada, I didn't know. However, yada generally describes the process whereby one gains knowledge through experience with objects and circumstances. So that's something that you can read and learn something, or you can see something and learn from it. But we want the discernment and the knowledge that comes basically from God. You know, there were skillful men that God put this skill in them, and they had no knowledge before that, like Aholiab and the other guy, the guys that were artificers. All just one day they were able to do this. And God gave them that, the spirit of that. So. Bin is a power of judgment and perceptive insight, and is demonstrated in the use of knowledge. A person can perceive pertinent data with his senses. With his eyes, he can discern. With his ears, he can understand words. Understanding can also be said to feel, and discernment can even be used, sensed through taste. And there's a bunch of verses. So it is possible to hear without perceiving. Daniel did not understand what he had heard. So in Daniel 12:8, he says, "And I heard and I understood not. Then said I, O my Lord, what shall be the end of these things?" And then he sent the angel to give him the understanding, to make him understand. The angel Gabriel. It is said in a derogatory sense that the wicked cannot understand the knowledge that he knows. In Proverbs 29:7, he says, "The righteous considereth the cause of the poor, but the wicked regardeth not to know it." They don't care. They got their mind on their own things, their own selfish thing. Other instances emphasize an attentive observation or consideration. Moses accusingly asked the people to consider diligently the years of experience of all generations. When he said, "Remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations, ask thy father, and he will shew thee, thy elders, and they will tell thee." So he's trying to give them some understanding there. Remember the days of old, Zakar. Consider, bin, understand the years of many generations. And David perceived the destination of the wicked. So he knew where these wicked people went, and we're not to worry about that. We think of all these people in the world, they're doing great. They're making millions of dollars, billions of dollars. They're ruling the world, and they're oppressing people. And we're not to look at them and say, "Oh, man, they got all the fun." No, it's when David was contemplating this. So we'll back it up. He says, "If I say I will speak thus, behold, I should offend against the generation of the children. When I thought to know this, it was too painful to me. until I went into the sanctuary of God, then understood I their end. So that's what he did. These people were flourishing in the world, and he was getting he was kind of like worried about it. But he says, then after I went into the sanctuary of God, then I understood their end, and it wasn't pretty, you know. What will you give in exchange for your soul? You know, the Hiphil stem especially emphasizes the ability to understand. Ezra read the word of God in the presence of the men and women and those able to understand, and those that were old enough. In Nehemiah 8 and 3, he said, and he read therein before the street that was before the water gate, from the morning until midday, before the men and the women and those that could understand. And all the ears of the people were attentive unto the book of the law. And there's that understanding there. God can make a person understand his ways. Psalms 119. Psalms 119 is all about the law. He says, give me understanding, and I shall keep thy law. Yea, I shall observe it with my whole heart. And then in verse 73, he says, in the Yod, he says, thy hands, and you see Yod, each of these letters in Psalms 119, you'll find them 90% of the time, you'll find them in here. Like Yod is what? It means hand. And there's the Yod right there. And you'll find the first letter somewhere in the verse. When you're reading this Psalms 119, thy hands have made me and fashioned me. Give me understanding. Why? That I may learn thy commandments. And it's what came first, the understanding or the commandments? The commandments or the understanding. So he had to give us the understanding. Give me bin, that I may learn lamad. Well, it also means to teach, learn, or instruct, that I may learn your commandments, the mitzvah. And we got to do it. So give me understanding, and I shall keep the law, and I shall observe. Shama. There you go. Keep it. Observe it. Shamar. With my whole heart. With my whole what? My whole understanding. My whole heart. My mind. The inner man. So that's good about this understanding, and not leaning into our own understanding. We have to go outside of ourselves. So his angels came to give understanding to Daniel. And we talked about that in Daniel 10:14. We'll look at it real quick here. He says, now I am come to make thee understand what shall befall thy people in the latter days, yet the vision is for many days. And he went on to in between the testaments, that's what we get when we read Daniel. We find out what happened from Malachi to Matthew. It's in the book of Daniel. So the participle form refers to a teacher, one who gives discernment to his students, and that's in Ezra 8:16. Then I sent for Eleazar and Ariel and Shemaiah, for Elnathan and Jarib and Elnathan and Nathan and Zechariah and Meshulam, chief men, also for Joarib and for Elthanan, men of understanding, men of bin. These are men of understanding. I guess they were the old guys, right? For a number of instances, insight or moral understanding is a gift from God, and that Daniel and his friends got that. And he changes the times and the seasons. He removeth kings and setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom unto the wise and knowledge to them that know understanding. And there's a lot of good words in there. He removeth kings. He setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom, and the word wisdom is kokma. That's in the Aramaic, and it comes from kokma in the Greek, which is wisdom. So he gives wisdom to the wise, and it's the same thing. Kakim, kokma, to the wise, and knowledge. And you're looking at the Aramaic, but it coincides with the Hebrew here, mada, which is what? Which is yada. So there's yada right there. So, and he gives knowledge to them that know, and here's the yada again. Yep, to know, understanding. And in the Aramaic, it's binah, and it coincides with the Hebrew binyah, understanding. So he gives it. All right, and not the fruit of empiricism. Ooh, what's empiricism mean? I had to look that up. It's the theory that all knowledge is derived from sense experience. So all knowledge is not derived from sense experience. So it's not the fruit of knowledge derived from sense experience. It is ethical discernment. A person prays for it. 119:34. Give me understanding, and I shall keep thy law. They go hand in hand, understanding and the law and the commandments. Yea, I shall observe it with my whole heart. With my whole what? My whole understanding, my whole heart. Oh, it could also mean mind. Look at that, the inner man with the heart. So give me bin. And since this insight is uniquely God's, he can reveal or conceal it. Isaiah 29:14. Therefore, behold, I will proceed to do a marvelous work among this people, even marvelous work and a wonder. For the wisdom of their wise men shall perish, and the understanding of their prudent men shall be hid. You probably got that sakal in there. No, you got the two of the, okay, the wisdom, the chokmah of the wise, kakam, shall perish, and the understanding, the binyah of the prudent, of the bin. So the understanding of the understanding shall be hid. So he does that. He gives it, and he'll take it away too. So the seat, my line's in the way here. The seat of insight is the heart. There you go. It is the heart which discerns or fails to discern the works of the Lord. Because they regard not the works of the Lord, nor the operation of his hands, he shall destroy them and not build them up. So they don't understand. The fear of the Lord, righteousness and justice, and his will as his word is obeyed. So Proverbs 2:5, he says, thou shalt thou understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. So understanding comes hand in hand, just like that 28:28. It's probably down here somewhere. Job 28:28. When you look at a cross-reference to this, you find a lot of good verses. Job 28:28. He says, and he said unto man, behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding. So you want wisdom and understanding, fear the Lord, and depart from evil, and you'll get understanding. And how is that? That's from obeying the commandments, doing the commandments. And I did a cross-reference on this, and there's a whole bunch of good verses on here. We can zip through. The secret things belong unto the Lord our God, but those things which are revealed belong unto us and to our children forever, that we may do all the works of the law. Let me see. And this is Proverbs 8, talking about wisdom. Daniel 4:6, keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear, Deuteronomy, and which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. Why? Because they do the will of God. Psalms 111:10, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments. His praise endureth forever. Proverbs 1:7, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. Proverbs 9:10, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding. Ecclesiastes 12:13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. And if you do that, what's going to happen? You're going to understand. You're going to have understanding because you're not leaning onto your own understanding. James 3:13. Whoa, New Testament. Who is a wise man and endued with knowledge among you? Let him show out of a good conversation his works with meekness and wisdom. But if you have bitter envying and strife in your hearts, glory not and lie not against the truth. This wisdom descended not from above, but is earthly, sensuous, devilish. For envying and strife there is confusion and every evil work. So this is like leaning onto your own understanding here. But the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, and easy to be entreated, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy. And guess what? Good understanding. Depart from evil and do good, seek peace and pursue it. There's a few more here. Be not wise in thine own eyes, fear the Lord and depart from evil. And that's in the same chapter, Proverbs 3, that we read. The law of the wise is a fountain of life, to depart from the snares of death. The highway of the upright is to depart from evil. He that keepeth his way preserveth his soul. Isaiah 1:16, wash you, make you clean, put away the evil of your doings. From before mine eyes, cease to do evil. Let me see. I'm looking for stuff that has to do with our study, but these are all good verses. He says, 2 Timothy 2:19, nevertheless, the foundation of God standeth sure, having this seal, the Lord knoweth them that are his, and let every one that nameth the name of Christ depart from iniquity. So don't do your own thing. Let him eschew evil and do good. Let him seek peace and ensue it. They're quoting the Old Testament there with that one. There we go. So Proverbs 2:9. Then shalt thou understand righteousness and judgment and equity, yea, every good path. When you don't lean unto your own understanding. And his will and his word is obeyed. We read that. While understanding is a gift of God, it does not come automatically. It's given to you. There's nothing you can do to get it. The possession of it requires a persistent diligence. It is more than IQ. It connotes character. One is at fault if he doesn't have it, and in fact, not to pursue it will incur God's punishment. Proverbs 2:1. My son, if thou will receive my words and hide my commandments with thee, we should put this in context. With thee, so that thou incline thy ear unto wisdom and applying thine heart to understanding. Yea, if thou criest after knowledge and liftest up thy voice for understanding, if thou seekest her as silver and searchest for her as for hid treasures, then shalt thou understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. This is all just not leaning onto your own understanding. For the Lord giveth wisdom, out of his mouth cometh knowledge and understanding. He layeth up sound wisdom for the righteous. He is a buckler to them that walk uprightly. He keepeth the paths of judgment and preserveth the way of his saints. Then shalt thou understand righteousness and judgment and equity, yea, and every good path. And there was something here in Ruth 1:21. I went out full, and the Lord had brought me home again empty. And then, why then called me Naomi, seeing the Lord had testified against me, and that the Almighty had afflicted me. So Naomi returned, and Ruth the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law, with her, which returned out of the country of Moab, and they came to Bethlehem in the beginning of barley harvest. And they might have a misprint here. Wonder what verse that would be, talking about wisdom and understanding here. And Ruth is probably not in Ruth, but we'll keep that on the side because they're really doesn't make sense to what we're looking at. And I'm curious. Where's that book? Oh, I'm gonna pull this up and see. Theological Word Book, 239. I'm curious. I can't help it. I gotta look. Maybe it's a misprint. 239. And they feel the number of us while understanding is a gift from God. Where is it? They got Ruth here too in the book, so I don't know. Maybe there's something further on down that has to do with wisdom and understanding, but we're not going to search for it right now. So when one acts on the objective presentations of God's revelation, he will attain the ideal and the significance of understanding. It's just something that comes to you, and let me see, preposition, the interval between, we're going to go through that. Ben is also used of a temporal notation. Nope. Ben is also used with verbs of judging, knowing, teaching, etc., involving the notion of distinguishing. For example, discerning between good and evil. 1 Kings 3:9 we read, judging between nations, Isaiah 2:4. And he shall judge among the nations and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation anymore, neither shall they learn war anymore. So discerning between, let me see, beatation of the plowshare. I'm looking for the word here. Yeah. Judge, a shaphat, rebuke many, beat their swords and plowshares. Well, I don't see the word here. Neither shall they learn. Lamad. Oh, that's the instruction. Okay, teach, learn. Okay. All right. And then the noun is used in a variety of ways. It refers to understanding, as in the prediction that Israel will never again be exposed to a foreign language difficult to understand, or in the statement that Daniel had understanding of every subject which Nebuchadnezzar asked. Binah also refers to the very faculty of understanding, and that's the mind. One is not to lean on his own understanding, which is our springboard verse in Proverbs 3 and 5. A person should desist from his own understanding, thus trying to attain great wealth. So he says, labor not to be rich, cease from thine own wisdom. So, and we can put up Proverbs 3:5 and do like a cross-reference on that, and see what we come up with. And it's just a bunch of verses, 30 verses here that have to doing about trusting in the Lord and leaning not unto thine own understanding. So the first part of the verse, when I talk about putting it in context, or not a context, or a cross-reference, there's a book that's called Nelson's Cross-Reference of the Bible, and it cross-references every single verse in the Bible, but it just puts the verses, the numbers. It doesn't put the whole verse down. Otherwise, you'd have a truckload of books. But if you go to Nelson's cross-reference of the Bible and you read Proverbs 3 and 5, next to it would be all of these 30 verses, not written out, of course, just the numbers. And that's where this is coming from here. So the first part of this would be trust in the Lord. So you'll see all the verses here with trust in him, trust in the Lord, trust in him, rest in the Lord, wait patiently. All these verses have to do with trusting in the Lord, trust in him. Okay, O Israel, trust thou in the Lord, trust in the Lord, and you that fear the Lord, trust in the Lord. 125:1, the trust in the Lord is there. Okay, and here we go. The second part of the verse, lean not unto your own understanding, would be this, starting in 146:3. He says, put not your trust in princes, nor in the Son of Man, in whom there is no help. His breath goeth forth, he returneth to his earth. In that very day his thoughts perish. Happy is he that hath the God of Jacob for his help, whose hope is in the Lord his God. Isaiah 12:2, behold, God is my salvation. I will trust and not be afraid. For the Lord Jehovah is my strength and my song. He also has become my salvation. 26:3, thou will keep him perfect in peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee. So all these have to do with trusting in him and leaning not onto your own understanding. And I can't read all of them, but we could. Blessed is the man that trusts in the Lord, whose hope is in the Lord. So lean not unto your own understanding. Jeremiah 17:7-8. For he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, that spreadeth out her roots by the river, and shall not see when heat cometh, but her leaf shall be green, and shall not be careful in the year of drought, neither shall cease from yielding fruit. Reminds me of that Revelation. Trust, apart from evil, labor not. At least we read that. Jeremiah 10:23. O Lord, I know that the way of man is not in himself. It is not in man that walketh to direct his steps. Romans 12:16, be of the same mind one toward another. Mind not high things, but condescend to men of low estate. Be not wise in thy own conceits. Don't trust, don't lean on your own understanding. Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world, let him become a fool, that he may be wise. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God, for it is written, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness. And you hear these guys all the time, wow, that sounds great, that sounds great. They don't know what they're talking about. They think they know what they're talking about. It may sound good to the world, but when you get down to it, they just lifting themselves up. Look how smart I am. And again, the Lord knoweth the thoughts of the wise, that they are vain. Even people that think they're doing mankind good with their words, they're not. If they're not speaking the truth, they're just puffing themselves up. Now, as touching things offered unto idols, we know that we all have knowledge. Knowledge puffeth up, but charity edifieth. So anybody that's talking, if they don't have agape, if they're not walking in the commandments of God, then it's just, you hear them all the time, the talking heads. Oh man, that sounds good. Yeah, well, if any man think he knoweth anything, he knoweth nothing, yet as he ought to know. So all of these smart people, and wise people, and prudent people, they know nothing, yet as he ought to know, because they're leaning on their own understanding. They're not backing you up with any kind of word of God, any kind of truth. Binah is also used as the object of knowledge. Job inquired concerning the place of understanding. Where is the place of understanding? And that's just, so he asks the question over here in 12:20. He says, but where shall wisdom be found? And where is the place of understanding? Whence cometh wisdom? And where is the place of this understanding? We found that out in Job 28:28. The fear of the Lord is wisdom. Depart from evil is understanding. It's real simple. Wisdom advises that a person should go in the way of understanding. Proverbs 9:6. Forsake the foolish and live, and go in the way of understanding. The direct of understanding. 998. That's the binah. And that the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding. Man, if we can get these concepts and live them in our daily lives, whew, he'll give us a lot. Understanding and wisdom, that's chokhmah, personified. When you read Proverbs 2, Proverbs 7, especially Proverbs 8, it talks about wisdom, where there is important implications. This personification also appears in this what is this, the what do you call that, RAPC. I can't think of what it means right now, but this is like where the Book of Maccabees is. What's that? The Apocrypha. Yeah, there's some good stuff in there, but we know it's not the inspired Word of God. But you'll see some good stuff in there. You know, this is I forget what this book is, Syriac or something, 24:9 and 24:23. From eternity in the beginning, He created me, and for eternity I shall not cease to exist. All this is the book of the covenant of the Most High God, the law which Moses commanded us as an inheritance for the congregation of Jacob. Like I said, it's not inspired word of God, but they've got some good stuff in there. With the function of God's spirit mediated between God as holy other and the world, it would appear the question has been asked as to whether wisdom is some aspect of a hypostasis with God. And hypostasis is the substance or the essential nature of an individual. So it's some kind of hypostasis with God, or if it is an abstract principle which has been made personal in the use of poetry. So is it the substance or the essential nature of an individual, or is it an abstract principle? So there is a mysterious objectifying of God's word concept in wisdom by which the world exists, as well as by whom we receive wisdom and power. We only receive wisdom and power from God, and our understanding comes from Him. And let me see, the synonymous with Bina. Understanding Tebuna, we read that. Okay. And this is where he got this from his bibliography, has Girdlestone, Synonyms of the Old Testament. I didn't pull that book off the shelf, but I got it up there. And if you read the Synonyms of the Old Testament, you probably get a lot of stuff that he just put in here from that, because Girdlestone's book is good. Synonyms of the Old Testament. I got it up there somewhere. Haven't pulled it down in a while, but it's up there. I know if I need it. So, and that the Sakal, I don't want to go crazy with all of this now. Sakal is more of an understanding that we get from looking at things with our own eyes, really. So I'm not going to get into this too much. Sakal, we got Maskil. Yeah, we looked at that a little bit. So let me see here. Hold on a second. Of the 74 times the verb form is used, over 2 appear in the Hifil stem. In many instances, Sakal is synonymous with bin, and we just studied bin. And Chokmah, which is wisdom, for discussion of synonyms. But there is a fine distinction. While bin indicates distinguishing between, Sakal relates to an intelligent knowledge of the reason. So it's your own reasoning, really. There is a process of thinking through a complex arrangement of thoughts, resulting in a wise dealing and use of good practical common sense. Another end result is the emphasis upon being successful. So that's why I didn't get to this too much. It's usually has to do with our own understanding. Sakal also involves one who, in what he considers or pays attention to, God provides for the afflicted and the needy, that they ponder who is their benefactor. Isaiah 41:20. He says that they may see and know and consider and understand together that the hand of the Lord had done this, and the Holy One of Israel hath created it. So, and see, you got the apthamo, the ra'ah, which means to see, and you can say ophthalmos, and know. You got the yada here, see and know, and consider, assume, and understand. And this is sakal, is the word understand here. Together, that the hand of the Lord had done this. So that's where we get it from. He's doing it. He's doing it all. The righteous one is said to take note of the house of the wicked. This acting wisely is directed toward a thing, the evil abode. In Proverbs 21:12, talks about the righteous one here. The righteous man wisely considereth the house of the wicked, but God overthroweth the wicked for their wickedness, because they don't consider anything, they don't know anything. So the wise man sakal the house of the wicked, and God will overthrow their house. The leaders of Israel's household together gathered together before Ezra in order to give attention to the word of the law. So we saw that in Ezra, and Nehemiah's got this one here. They all came together on the second day. They were gathered together, the chief fathers of the people, the priests, the Levites, unto Ezra the scribe, even to Sakal, understand the words of the law. So, and what's his name talked about bin, understanding as bin. Let me do a cross reference here, and it should also be in Ezra. I don't see it there, but it's in Ezra also, where they came together to understand. Still another usage of the verb is to have insight or comprehension. The man who would boast of anything should boast that he has insight into and knows the Lord. Jeremiah 9:23. Thus saith the Lord, let not the wise man glory in his wisdom, neither let the mighty man glory in his might. Let not the rich man glory in his riches. We know where it all comes from. To put this in context. But let him that glorieth glory in this, that he understandeth and knoweth me, and that I am the Lord, which exercise loving kindness, judgment, and righteousness in the earth, for in these things I delight, saith the Lord. So, let me see. The wise man glory in his head. That's the kokma, and let him understand it. That's the sakal. But let him that glorieth glory in this, that he sakal and knoweth yada. Sakal and yada. Me, said the Lord. Sakal and yada, me. Insight seen as God's gift to Israel through his rulers and teachers. Jeremiah 3:15. And I will give you pastors according to mine heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. Knowledge is deah. Let me look at this here. Deah, knowledge. I haven't seen this. And this is 1843. This is Deya. Oh, it comes from Yada. Okay, I should have known. So Yada, 848. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's like 10 different things there for Yada, Mada, Medi, Deya, 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 Yada. So Yada is the main one to know. And all of these things are like little offshoots here. Knowledge, opinion, knowledge, but yada is the main one. I thought that one got away from me, but I guess it didn't. So you have yada and understanding, sakal, and they're given to, like Jim Brown's got it. This word also occurs in Proverbs 1:3, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment and equity. So to receive the instruction, 41:48 is Musar. Instruction of wisdom. So they use the word wisdom here, but it's sakal, which is understanding, to receive instruction. And I was watching something today, Musa. That's where they get the word Mossad from. You know, the Israel CIA, whatever they want to call it, Mossad. This is where they get it from. It means instruction. Actually, it means foundation. One of the words for Mossad is foundation, and that's where they get the word Mossad from. So that's the foundation of their CIA, I guess. The word occurs also in Proverbs, where it is stated that the book was written to give the young insight into wise behavior. As Jeremiah, wise behavior means conforming one's life to the character of God. So lean not unto your own understanding. That's the springboard here. Conforming one's life to the character of God. Actually, Jesus. Another usage stresses the idea of causing to consider, giving insight and teaching. David indicates that the Lord made him understand the details of pattern of temple furniture used as a direct object. So in First Chronicles 28:19, he talks about the Lord made me understand in writing by his hand upon me even the works of this pattern. So when he was working out the stuff for Solomon to do in the temple. Gabriel gave Daniel insight or skill in Daniel 9:22, and he informed me and talked with me and said, "Oh, Daniel, I am now come forth to give thee skill and understanding." So you got informed. So there's the bin. And he talked with me and said, "Oh, Daniel, I'm come forth to give thee skill, sakal, and understanding." Binya. So you got three of them in there. You got bin, sakal, and understanding in that one verse. So this is also the meaning of acting circumspectly and prudently. In a time of evil, the prudent know to keep silent. Amos 5:13. Therefore, the prudent shall keep silence in that time, for it is an evil time. And Amos 5 is talking about that. God has his way of determining whether a general population is acting wisely so as to seek him. In Psalms 14:2, a wife who acts prudently is described as from the Lord. In Proverbs 19:14. Likewise, the suffering servant acted prudently in fulfilling the work assigned to him. Isaiah 52:13. Behold, my servant shall deal prudently. He shall be exalted and extolled and be very high. Sakal. A verb also may mean to prosper or have success. Saul feared David because David was prospering greatly as a result of the Spirit's presence in his life to guide. Indeed, by this successful behavior, David, in effect, ousted Saul from his position of leadership. And you read about that in 1 Samuel 18. Jeremiah emphasizes that judgment was pronounced on the shepherd leaders of a favored nation. The leaders were regarded as stupid because they did not seek the Lord. As a result, they would not prosper and their flocks would be scattered. Jeremiah 10:21. For the pastors are become brutish, that's stupid, and have not sought the Lord. Therefore, they shall not prosper, and all their flocks shall be scattered. And then sakel is used for wisdom and understanding. This is the display of prudence or good sense in Abigail's behavior. And Abigail was, she exhibited her common sense in dealing with the crisis between her husband, Nabal, and David. When Nabal told David to get lost and David was going to go kill Nabal and everybody that was in his company, then Abigail came out and assuaged David and gave his men food and said, "Please don't kill my husband. He's an idiot." So, but her approach to wisdom, however, proved faulty because she was looking for wisdom in a way not prescribed by God. But God sent her out with the food to assuage David's wrath. But this is 1 Samuel 25:3. Now the name of the man was Nabal, and we can know what Nabal understands just from the context of this verse here. And the name of his wife was Abigail, and she was a woman of good understanding and a beautiful countenance. But the man was churlish and evil in his doings, and he was of the house of Caleb. So Nabal means fool. So that's basically what his name means. And Abigail, my father is joy. Something that means good, I guess. Abigail. From Ab and Gil, rejoicing. So she had a good name, and he was an idiot. He had a foolish name. I love these when you read these things, and the context of the verse tells you what each name means. The noun also has a sense of insight or understanding. David prayed that the Lord would give his son Solomon wisdom or discretion concerning the affairs of Israel. 1 Chronicles 22:12. The man who does not neglect kindness and love finds favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man. And that's Proverbs 3. We read that. A man's prudence makes him slow to anger, and a man wins commendation in accordance to his wisdom. Proverbs 19:11. The discretion of a man deferreth his anger, and it is his glory to pass over a discretion. So, transgression. So the sakal of a man. And then Proverbs 12:8. A man shall be commended according to his wisdom, but he that is of a perverse heart shall be despised. So this wisdom here is the word sakal, understanding. So we got to throw the English out, man. We can't go by the English. We just got to understand that each of these words mean something. And the English, they could have put wisdom here. They could have put understanding. They could have put knowledge. They could have put all kinds of English words in there. But the word is sakel. And when you understand what that means, doesn't matter what the English is. We understand what sakel means now. The context can also indicate a bad sense or cunning. Concerning an individual of the end time, it is said that he will, through his shrewdness, and the example of Antiochus Epiphanes, cause deceit to succeed. And that's what he did. So it can be a positive thing. It can be a negative thing. He says in Daniel 8:25, and through his policy, they use the word policy here, and through his sakel, all right, also he shall cause craft to prosper. What's craft? Mirma, deceit. Deceit. Why didn't they just say deceit? That's treachery. Mirma. So through his sakel, he will cause mirma to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. And so when they say peace and safety, that's it. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. And that's Antiochus Epiphanes. He's a picture of the man at the end here. And as you can see, there's maskil in all of those Psalms verses. So it emphasizes one is to sing praises in accordance with a maskil psalm. Some have considered a maskil to be a didactic poem. What's didactic mean? It means designed or intended to teach. So some have considered maskil to be a teaching poem. And that's basically what I believe, which causes consideration or gives insight. Others have suggested that it be an artistic song having insight. Either way is good. More probably, this can be considered a contemplative poem with elements of the other two. So I believe it has all of those things, maskil. And of course, here we go again, girdle scones, synonyms of the Old Testament. So if you don't have that book, get it. And that's a good book to have. So that was bin and sakal. And we got here. And I want to get into some of the Greek. There's a whole bunch of Greek words, but the main one here for understanding would be this 3563. Where is it? Wisdom. Well, we probably read a whole bunch of these verses, but there's a whole bunch of great verses that have to do with wisdom and understanding and leaning not unto your own understanding. And there's just too many. There's 27 verses here. There's 23 verses here. And on understanding, we look at the cross references for that. So we got all that. And then this here. Okay. So this is 35, 39 in the Greek is noeo. And that should ring a bell with everybody. Noeo is understand, or to perceive with the mind, to understand, to have understanding, to think upon, heed, ponder, and it comes from, actually, this is the verb, noeo, and it comes from the masculine noun. It's usually the other way around, but this noeo comes from nous, and that's the main word. I think nous would be it's the noun, but it's the main word, and usually the main word is the verb, but they're going the other way here with this, and it comes from and nous just means not mind or understanding. So when you hear somebody say nous, they're talking about the mind, and it comes from gnosko. Also, it's probably from the base gnosko, so you got nous in there. And gnosko, we know what it means. It means to know, or to perceive, to learn, to know, to come to know, to get to know, and that's just knowledge that's gained through seeking things out. It's not the other word is ido. Well, we know what ido is. Like I said, I got them all written down here. I got them all, and I can go crazy with this. Let me find this one. So these are the main ones I'm going to give you here: the noeo, the nous, and the gnosko. And you would have to go to the Theological Dictionary, volume 4, and start on page, I guess, 951. But this is in volume 1, page 689. That's gnosko. But we want this understanding one, so you'd have to go to Theological Dictionary 4, starting on page like 951. I'm not going to go to that right now. I could, but there's other definitions that I want to give you, and we got them here. No, we got them here. So here's one. 1108 is gnosis, all right, and that's part of the gnosko, the knowledge. So the verb form gnosko, and the noun, feminine noun, is gnosis, which means knowledge or science. Science, so-called, would be the agnostic. Agnosis, which means not to know, or no knowledge, no science, agnostic. And then Sophia, of course, is wisdom. That's the feminine noun, wisdom, Sophia. That's 4678, and it comes from 4680, which is the adjective, and that just means sophos, which means wise. And then you got another main one. I put this up there with nous, and this would be the sunesis, which means understanding. So the main ones we're looking at are nous and sunesis. This would be 4907 sunesis, which means understanding and knowledge. Theological Dictionary 7888. And then suname, which means to understand. This is the verb. It's also in 7888. And then phronesis. I mean, there's so many different words for this. Phronesis, phroneo, phren. You got 5428, 5426. I also got 5429, 5424. So you got all of these words, 5424. And that's phroneo, means to think or to regard, to have an understanding, to be wise. Phren, 5424 means understanding. And I can't go through all of these right now, but I'm just giving you the definitions, and we'll run into them in the weeks to come. Phronesis, all right, and this goes on to compare these words. 1108 gnosko denotes knowledge by itself. 4678, which is Sophia, denotes wisdom as an act exhibited in action. So gnosko implies chiefly to the apprehension of truths, and Sophia adds to the power of reasoning about them and tracing their relationships. I mean, we could just go nuts looking at all these. And here's the other one for Sophia. That's Sophos. And another one for Suneteo. Sunatos is 4908. I got 4907, 4908, and 4920. Those are the three main ones. 4907, 4908, and 4920 would be the ones that we're going to look at for understanding and to be prudent to have understanding. And also, this is another one from Phronismos, 5429. Like I said, 5424, 5426, 5428, and 5429. Those are the four main ones for this Phronismos, or friend. All right. And then, of course, we got the Gnoskis here, Gnosko. Okay. That's the, and then here's the Ido. All right. The Ido, to know, or to see, actually, to perceive with the eyes. So these are two different ways of understanding, knowledge and to see with the eyes. And then this other one is episteme, to know or to understand. Comes from episteme, which means to come upon. It's epi and histeme. Histeme is a big suffix, means to stand. Histeme. You see histeme a lot as far as being suffixes to words. And then suname, of course, the 4920. Suname, to understand. So we're going to look at those. This one here is the nous, of course, the mind or the understanding. And of course, this one here is dianoia. Get that out. I didn't want to do that. Just look at it real quickly here. Dianoia. And it has to do with the nous. So it's dia and nous, as you can see, the mind, understanding, or imagination. So we'll put them words together. 1271, 3563, and the 35, what was the other one? I had it here somewhere, 3563. All right, I didn't write it down, but it's there. 3563 and 1097. We got them together. All right, so you got the Sophia, here's the Phronesis, here's the Gnosko, and here's the Epignoso. We put the epi in front of Gnosko. So it's knowledge, acknowledgement, and all these, like I said, we can go nuts looking at all these words, but I'm just giving them to you real quick, and you can write them, the numbers down, and go to your word study concordance and go crazy. And there's one here, 3877, is parakolutheo. Parakolutheo comes from para and akolutheo. And we know akolutheo was to follow or to have understanding. And I think there's 4 verses here, 3877, 3877. And these signs shall follow them that believe in my name. They shall cast out devils. They shall speak with new tongues. Luke 1 and 3, he says, it seems good also to having perfect understanding of all things from the very first to write unto thee in order, most excellent Theophilus. And that's Luke when he starts writing his epistle. And then 1 Timothy 4:6, if thou put the brethren in remembrance of these things, thou shalt be a good minister of Jesus Christ, nourished up in words of faith and good doctrine, whereunto thou hast attained. So that's getting knowledge and teaching the knowledge. And 2 Timothy 3:10, but thou hast fully known my doctrine, manner of life, purpose, faith, long-suffering, charity, and patience. So those are the 4 words for that. Parakolutheo. And then we get this. So like I said, the main one is the 3563, which I have here, and 3539. So if we have time, we got like 10 minutes here. I don't want to pull this book down, but it's the Theological Dictionary 4. I think I have it down here. Yeah. So, no, I don't. Where is it? I got it on the floor. All right, it's on the floor. Oh, boy. Because it's not on the shelf. Here it is, 948. And this is a big one. I mean, there's a lot of pages, I'm pretty sure. I haven't looked at it recently, so 948. Yeah, so is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 27 or 28 words having to do with noeo and nous. Noema, anotos, anoia, dus notos, dia noia, which we looked at, the 1271, dia noema, angoia, it just goes on, huponoia, nutheteo, nuthesia, all of this. So noeo, to direct one's mind to a subject, to perceive, to notice, to grasp, to know, to think. And synonymous, or actually when you put it in the Septuagint, and it goes back to bin. When you put this word in the Old Testament, it comes back to bin or binah. So that, and also, yeah. And I've been through this before. There's a lot of stuff here, a lot of stuff. Can't get into it right now, but I'm just showing you that there's a lot of noeo. I'm just showing you how many pages. Nous, dianoia. There's dozens and dozens of pages. I can't go through it all right now. So I'm just letting you know that if you have the Theological Dictionary, you're looking at no more. You're looking at from 948 to 1022. So how many pages is that? 48, 58, 68, 78, 88, 98, 08. You're looking at over 60 pages of stuff on nous, on the mind, on perceiving. So, we can't start reading that now. But this other one, I want to give you, I thought I had a page on it, but I'm going to put one up here. And these are the main ones that we're going to look at. That one, nous, which is 60 some odd pages. And this 4907, 4907, 4908, 4908, and 4920. 49. This way we get a better look at it, So there's, look. So we can read all of these verses right now, as a matter of fact, but Mark 12:33. There's nothing in Matthew for 4907, huh? Wow. And to love him with all the heart and with all the understanding. So you're talking about heart, which is in the Greek is cardia, just like the leb or the leba in the Old Testament, which means understanding. Let me see. Washing desires, passions. Gonna see the physical life. It could also be understanding, and with understanding, which is the sunesis. So that's not nous. This is sunesis, understanding. And with all the soul and with all the strength, and to love his neighbor as himself, is more than all whole burnt offerings and sacrifices. I got this thing I can't see. And in Luke 2:47, and in all that heard him were astonished at his understanding and answers, in referencing Jesus, all that he knew. 1 Corinthians 1:19, for it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, and I will bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent. Destroy the wisdom, the Sophia of the Sophos, and will bring to nothing the understanding. Let me see what that understanding is. Understanding, sunesis of the sunatos. Both of them words are here. All right. Okay. Ephesians 3:4, whereby when you read, you may understand my knowledge in the mystery of Christ. Colossians 1:19, for this cause we also, since the day we heard it, did not cease to pray for you and desire that you might be filled with the knowledge of his will in all wisdom and spiritual understanding. And what's that knowledge there? That knowledge is epignosis. All right? So, with all knowledge and wisdom, sophos, and spiritual sunesis. And Colossians 2:2, that their hearts might be comforted, being knit together in love, and unto all riches of the full assurance of understanding, to the acknowledgement. So you got two of them in there too, of the mystery of God and of the Father and of Christ. So it's the sunesis, and epignosis. You got them both in there, knowledge and understanding. Consider what I say, and the Lord give thee understanding in all things. That's all we can say. You know? And there's 4 verses here. We'll do them real quick. And this is part of the sunesis. This is sunetos. That's being prudent. Matthew 11:25. At that time, Jesus answered and said, I thank thee, O Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because thou hast hid these things from the wise, that's sophos, I guess, and prudent, and has revealed them unto babes. And that's us. And that hour Jesus rejoiced in spirit. I said, I thank you. The same thing. And then in 10:21, I can't see this because I got this thing in the way. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise and bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent. I can't read that other verse because my thing is blocked here. Okay. And then you have 25 verses here having to do with tsunami. Understand, consider, and be wise. I'm not going to read all of these, but there's a lot of good verses in there. Yeah. By hearing you shall hear and shall not understand, and seeing you shall see and not perceive. You know, let me see, a lot of good stuff here. They understood. The disciples understood and not understand. And same thing. Hearing you may hear and not understand, and seeing you may see and not perceive. Okay. You don't understand. Perceive, you don't understand. Have your heart hardened? Jesus. And when Jesus knew it, he said unto them, why reason ye because you have no bread? Perceive ye not yet, neither understand? Have ye your heart yet hardened? So he's going to have to loosen up that heart. How is it you do not understand? And they understood not the sayings which he spake. So they were walking around, young kids, a little on the ignorant side, and they didn't have the understanding. But he was going to give it to them, and it's only him that can give it. They could have walked around like the vessels of wrath, not understanding, leaning onto their own understanding. But in time, he gave it to them, and at his resurrection, his crucifixion, and his resurrection, and then when he left, he sent them what? He sent them the Holy Spirit, and then boom, the light came on, the switch turned, and they understood. Oh, now we know what he was talking about. How is it you do not understand? Now we understand. And he said unto him, unto you it is given to know the mysteries of the kingdom of God, but to others in parables, that seeing they might not see, and hearing they might not understand. And they understood none of these things, and this saying was hid from them, neither knew they the things which were spoken. Luke 18:34. And then in Luke 24, it's a very important one here, Luke 24:45. Then opened he their understanding that they might understand the scriptures. 24:45. Let me see those other words in there. Luke 24:45. 45. Then opened he their what? Their nous, their mind, their understanding. So he gave them ears to hear, eyes to see, a heart to perceive, and a mind to understand. So he opened up their mind, their nous, that they might sunime the scriptures. So you got both of the words in here. That's a perfect verse for like a springboard verse, Luke 24:45. So that's what he does. He opens the nous that we may sunime, understand. When I'm understood not, hearing you shall hear, not understand. Okay, Acts 28:26. The heart of this people is whack gross. Okay, so they're not going to understand. He's going to shut their ears. There's none that understands. There is none that seeketh after God, except the ones that I give it to. Hear and understand. Understand the wise. Ephesians 5:17. Wherefore be ye not unwise, but understand what the will of the Lord is. Ephron. So that's the negative friend we just looked at. The friend is the understanding, and the negative is a friend or Ephron. Be not unwise, but understand, suname, what the will of God is, will of the Lord is. So that's just some of the things we're going to look at here. And like I said, there's a whole bunch of verses. No understanding. We got a bunch of verses I'm going to look at with no understanding, and then man's ignorance of God. There's a bunch of verses, and then there's spiritual understanding, which we want to get to, and then true wisdom. There's a bunch of verses on that, and then spiritual knowledge. There's understanding for that. Understand the fear of the Lord and find knowledge. We looked at that. Just let me look at this one real quick. I know it's not the springboard verse, but it's close to it. Proverbs 2. We probably looked at it already. 2, 5, and 9. 2, 5, and 9. Then shalt thou understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. For the Lord giveth wisdom, out of his mouth cometh knowledge and understanding. He layeth up sound wisdom for the righteous. He is a buckler to them that walk uprightly. He keepeth the paths of judgment and preserveth the way of his saints. Then shalt thou understand righteousness and judgment and equity, yea, every good path. You might have read that because the one in Proverbs 3, the springboard verse here, 3, 1 to 5, is basically the same thing here, I think. No, that's okay. Yeah. So these are good. These are two good chapters, Proverbs 2 and Proverbs 3, as far as understanding. And you got the beautiful words in here. I don't know if we looked at these, but you'll understand the fear of the Lord and find knowledge. De'ath, that's the yada. For the Lord giveth what? He giveth kokma, wisdom. Out of his mouth comes the de'ath, the yada, and understanding. Tabun, that's the bin. He layeth up sound wisdom. Tushia, sound wisdom, tushia. For the righteous, he is a buckler to them that walk uprightly. He keepeth the paths of judgment and preserveth the way, the direct of the saints. Then shalt thou bin understand righteousness and judgment and equity and every good path. Wisdom entereth into the heart. There's the leb. You can also say understanding. And knowledge, deith, yada, to thy soul. I can't read my things in the way here. It's blocked. Hold on a second. Discretion shall preserve thee understanding shall keep thee. What's discretion? Discretion. Mezimah. Mezimah. Distraction. Thought. Device. Consider. Purpose. Imagine. So it comes from that too. Okay. Zamam. So preserve thee. Shama. Keep. And understanding is tabun. All good words. I mean, just one word at a time, one verse at a time. That's all we're doing. So we're gonna put we'll stop this here, and because I can just go all night with this, but I want to thank you, God, for bringing us together. Man, what can I say? I don't know what to say. There's just too much here, so much to learn, so little time. I want to thank Jim for putting this in my mind and having me spend some time on this. I know I've spent time on it before, but it was really good to spend some days on this now. We thank you, we love you, give all the praise and glory in Jesus' name. Amen. Wow, good one. Whew. Okay. Oh, stop recording. Thank you, God.